Hello and welcome back to Clean Code. I'm me, you are you, and I hope you're excited to get a little bit better today as we work in R to sort out if we can find the total number of available beds per host nationality for Airbnb. A nice little medium interview problem. Let's go ahead and just jump in. Find the total number of available beds per host's nationality. Output the nationality along with a corresponding total number of available beds. Sort the records by the total available beds in descending order. A super straightforward question. So, as we know, we on the onsite are going to have a lot of different interviews that are happening. This question does not reek of an onsite type question. This might even just be a phone screen question, to be 100% honest. But I think it's straightforward. It's asking you, can you manipulate data in R, your chosen language? Like, do you have the minimum threshold of skill? If we come down here, we see for our very first time on this channel in R, we have two separate tables. We have Airbnb apartments and we have Airbnb hosts. Two separate tables that we get to work with. We'll go more in depth of what data we need when we jump into the notebook. But now looking at our data, we see, okay, we got a host ID, we have a number of beds, bedrooms, apartment ID, apartment type, country, and city for our apartments. Everything's looking good. Oh, got a yurt. That's pretty cool. So I think in terms of data, we're probably not going to be having to deal with anything out of the box. I think this is a straightforward identify the problem, formulate a coherent solution, walk your interview through it, and move about your day. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the notebook and really start to try and break this problem down. All right, here we are in our handy dandy notebook. Let's go ahead and relook at the problem statement just to make sure we're very clear about what our task is. Find total number of beds per host nationality, right? Output the nationality. So this is actually in answer condition. So we're going to make it a different color. Nationality corresponding to total available beds. Sort by total available beds, descending order. So to quickly just write it out, we want beds per nationality, right? And then we want total beds high to low. Is really all this wants us to do. But I did get some feedback on some of the videos. You all would like me to be a little bit more explicit in these steps. Totally fine. Happy to do it. If you have a suggestion, comment it down below. Happy to work through it. So now that we've gone through our problem statement, now let's take a look at our data and kind of sort out what we think we need to be using in terms of data. I'm a big believer in, if you can, eliminate columns, like eliminate possible distractions for yourself. So starting with Airbnb apartments, we don't need anything to do with city, right? And we don't need bedrooms, we need beds. And there's a difference here. We also don't need apartment type. And I would argue we don't need apartment ID because we're doing this per host. And an apartment would not have multiple hosts, but a host would have multiple apartments. So we're cool keeping host. Host would be the larger down selection of our data. In terms of our host stuff, we're going to need host ID. This is our key. So we're going to go ahead and star these. This is how we're going to work back and forth. We 100% need nationality. We don't, however, need age or gender in this case. So as you can see, we've gone from 7, 8, 9, 11 columns to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5-column problem is much easier to think about, especially when you're doing this on the fly. Okay, so we got our data. We know what we're trying to do. Let's go ahead and build out a problem plan, and then we're going to figure out what kind of helper functions we need so we can code up a solution. I will see you in just a second. Okay, now that we've worked through our columns and everything we need, let's go ahead and draw out our problem plan just so we can kind of visualize what we're trying to accomplish, and then we can kind of down select the kind of functions we're going to need and the columns we're going to need to execute. So we have two separate blocks of data, and what we're going to want to do is combine them together to make a new block of data. We're going to combine these on host ID. That's our foreign key. Those are the relationship between those two data sets. Once we have our EF0, call it for right now, we then need to sort out beds per host nationality. this to be, B1, B2, B3 for each of the national use cases that we have, right? However many of those we have. And then finally, this answer needs to be wrapped high to low. I mean, that was the third line of that problem. So we're just going to denote that like this. And hey, this needs to go high to low. Okay, why do we draw this out? Why don't we just do it? I would argue in all of the time I have ever spent as a tutor in undergrad, as an actual like data lab consultant liaison in graduate school, and even in my limited teaching role at Kansas State University, I have never met somebody who can just do this all mentally in their head. It's not a great idea to try and do it that way. Like, just write it out, and then you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and you can kind of use different parts of your brain to help you in this interview. You don't get points for making it harder on yourself. You get points when you get the job, right? So let's take a minute, pause the video if you need to, write out the problem plan in your own words, and then try and sort out what functions you need with the data you have to execute on your problem plan. Okay? I'll give you a couple of seconds, and we'll jump back in. Okay, hopefully you have an idea of how you're going to approach this problem. This is the point of the video where I gotta say, hey, listen, I by no means am like the oracle of truth. There's a lot of different ways to solve these problems. This is just a way that I think is nice, and it's relatively easy to pick up, and it doesn't rely on, outside of the box thinking or abstract methods or stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and denoted our data as D1 and D2. I think the very first function we're going to have to use is merge. And I'm going to do something new because I felt like maybe in previous videos on this channel, it was not really sufficient on like how things would tie together, and then I'd have to do an after hours, but the after hours wasn't always helpful, and people have like video drop off. So I'm going to do it this way. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But we're going to merge data 1 and data 2. That's kind of like the first big step we need to do in our project plan. And that's how we're going to be utilizing our column. Once we've done that, we're going to use group by to kind of down select our nationality so that we can further find out the number of beds. It sounds different because they want beds per host nationality, but we want to split things by the nationality to then find the number of beds per nationality. Just a little R wrinkle for us, nothing crazy. This is where we're going to put that nationality column from our Airbnb hosts, this one right here. Once we've grouped everything together, it'd be a really good idea to find the number, and we're going to take advantage of a function called summarize, and I always spell it wrong. Please forgive me, English spelling is not my forte. But then inside of this, we can use, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger actually. Inside of this, we can use another function called sum, and that is how we're going to get that number of beds column in. And we know we need to eventually sort this, so we can't just summarize, we need to set it to a variable. We'll call it v1, we'll figure that out in the code editor, what we're going to call it. But then finally, we're going to use arrange because we want to preserve our group by and our summarize. So we're going to go ahead and call that v1 that we've already sorted out, and then this is kind of where our descending is going to be. I think this is a good enough solution for this kind of problem. I think it's something you can very easily explain to another person while you're interviewing. Let's go ahead and jump back into the code editor and see if we can code it up and get it to work. All right, rubber meets the road time. Hopefully our problem plan is sufficient, and if you're doing it slightly differently, totally fine, totally cool. But unfortunately, I don't think I can really help you that much in this part. So let's just take it step by step the way we did it. We know we need to use the merge. Not too much is going to change, but merge does require a by statement, and I highly recommend that we use host ID, as that's the foreign key and that's kind of why it's there. I think from then we want to just follow our project plan. And we're going to pipe in our group by nationality, and then we want to pipe in that summarize statement. I ended up calling my summarize statement total beds. I felt like that was pretty self-explanatory, and in any sort of documentation it should be easy to understand, hey, the sum of n beds is the total number of beds. And then finally we're going to arrange. I actually got this wrong in our mock-up in the notebook. You need to arrange and then descend the total number of beds. And that's coming from here. That's a variable we are setting that is not present in our data. Let's go ahead and click run code. Ooh, that was fast. Okay, cool. This looks right-ish, Australia, 24, Mali, Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a very small country to have the highest number of beds, but oh well, go ahead and we click the green button, all green arrows. Everything is looking nice. No after hours today. I'm sorry if that is a key part of your viewing experience. Comment down below if you have any questions. I will reply to as many as I can. Otherwise, on behalf of Clean Code, I've been me, you've been you, and I'm proud of you for taking the time today to go ahead and get better. And I really hope you get prepped for whatever interview you've got coming your way. Until next time, see ya.